Mr. Speaker, would the gentleman yield for some questions?
Will the gentleman yield for questions?
Absolutely.
The gentleman yields.
All right. Thank you, Representative Toth. So those are some interesting stories you were telling. You realize none of that has anything to do with this bill, right?
It absolutely does. It absolutely does.
Mr. Toth, do you know what this bill is about?
This bill is about forgiveness of student loans.
It is student loans for mental health professionals in our public schools.
Correct.
That has nothing to do with everything you were just talking about. Do
Sure
you realize
it does.
that?
Absolutely.
No, it doesn't.
You're taking money from taxpayers, and you're validating, you're affirming, you're taking money from taxpayers, and you're forgiving the student loans of people that are engaged in this kind of activity, and we should make sure that we don't do that.
So let's talk about what counselors are involved in.
Sure.
With the activity they're involved in. They help students who are having mental health challenges, right?
I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time hearing you.
They help students who are having mental health challenges such as suicidal ideation or thoughts of self-harm.
Right.
You would agree with that, right? And you're aware that suicide is the second leading cause of death for individuals aged 10 to 24 in the state of Texas. Are you aware of that, Mr. Toth?
Sir. Yes, sir, I am.
You are? Are you concerned
and
about that?
A big concern about that is the fact that kids are being encouraged to not talk to their parents, and that's part of the Title IX.
You think students shouldn't have the ability to talk to a professional in a school setting when suicide is the second leading cause of death for young Texans?
I do, and they should actually be encouraged to talk to their parents as well.
Well, sure they should. There's nothing in this
but
bill that...
But they're not being encouraged to talk to their parents as well when they're experiencing gender dysphoria.
Mr. Toth, can you point to anything in this bill that discourages students from talking to their parents about anything? Is there anything in this bill that does that?
We should be encouraging before we acquiesce and give people...
So the answer is no. There's nothing in this bill.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you over
well,
Mrs. T.
Ms. T's raising a good point.
Members, please take your conversations outside the rail.
To Ms. T's point, you realize this is a Senate bill, so it's already passed the Texas Senate, correct?
I understand.
Okay. All right. So even though suicide is the number two cause of death for young Texans, you would oppose a measure that puts more mental health professionals in our schools to help kids who are dealing with self-harm issues and suicidal ideation. You oppose that measure.
Mr. Turner, do you believe that gender-affirming care is being pushed by school counselors?
I've read the bill, Mr. Toth. I don't see anything about gender-affirming care in this bill. I don't see anything about that.
Then why won't you take my amendment and we'll be good?
I see you speaking against the bill. I don't see that you have an amendment before the House.
I asked her if she'd take a friendly amendment that just says that we won't do this in our schools, then you have nothing to worry about.
Well, we don't have an amendment before us, so I'm not going to discuss a hypothetical amendment with you because that's not in line with the rules of the House. What about depression? Would you agree that young people more and more suffer from depression? We've heard a lot from other members this session about the effect of social media and other societal factors and how that is deteriorating the mental health of young people, of kids, and leading to anxiety, depression, stress,
and gender confusion.
Would you agree that's
and
a real
gender confusion too, right?
Again, you're talking about something that's not in the bill. I'm asking you, do you think depression is a real concern?
Social media is not in the bill either, is it, Mr. Turner?
Is depression a real concern for young people?
It is a real concern. Absolutely it is.
Okay.
They need good guidance counseling for that's free of gender-affirming care.
So by opposing this bill,
Mr. Turner?
So by opposing this bill, you are opposing young people, your constituents and mine, from having resources in public schools to help them navigate some of these issues that is natural in adolescence and teenage years and is more acute today because of everything going on in our society. That's what you're doing.
Kids absolutely need good counseling. You and I both agree on that, Mr. Turner. What they don't need
Then you should support this bill, Mr. Toth.
They don't. Then why won't you support my amendment, which basically says guidance counselors will not partake in gender-affirming care?
Well, I tell you, if you offer an amendment, I'll be glad to look at your amendment, but you have not filed an amendment, and you don't have an amendment on the floor right now.
I've got an amendment right here, and I asked her if she'd take a friendly amendment. If she'd like to pull the bill down so we can talk about it, I'm glad to do that.
Well, Mr. Toth, as best I can tell, this bill is simply trying to incentivize mental health professionals to take these counseling jobs in our schools where we have a severe shortage. I would add, we've had a shortage for years, and this has been one of the number one things that's been identified in all the work we've done in the Texas House on mental health care and on academic progress. This has been one of the number one things we've identified as a challenge to helping our students succeed, and I think Ms. Davis's bill goes a long way towards addressing that.
Mr. Turner, then let's do it the right way, and let's make sure that we're not confusing children. We're encouraging children to talk with their parents, and counselors that it will not confuse them.